In the world of sports, you've got your stars, you've got your superstars, and then you have these global phenomena who are just on a whole other level. Today, we're digging into the story of an athlete who became more than a player. He became an economic engine, a brand, and one of the most famous people on the planet, Cristiano Ronaldo.
All right, let's just jump right in with a number that barely seems real. $677 million. That's the total value of his contract with Al Nassr. A number like that just makes you stop and ask, how on earth does a single athlete, become that valuable? Well, to figure that out, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning.
And his start? It couldn't have been more humble. We're talking about a small Portuguese island, Madeira, where a little kid's absolute obsession with a soccer ball would end up changing the sport forever. Wow. This one quote from a childhood friend, it tells you everything, doesn't it? This was never just a game for him. Right from the very start, it was this burning, all-consuming need to be the best. That emotion, that mentality where winning is everything, it was just part of his DNA from day one.
Yeah, life was not glamorous. His mom was a cook. His dad was a gardener who also helped out at the local club Andorra as a kitman. So football wasn't just an escape for him, it was literally woven into his family life. And growing up like that, it didn't just shape him, it lit a fire under him.
So his early path seems pretty normal at first. Starts at the club where his dad works, moves to a bigger team on the island, but then everything changes. At just 12 years old, he leaves his family, his home, everything he's ever known, to go to the sporting academy in Lisbon. It was a huge, huge sacrifice, all for a transfer fee of just £1,500. That's pocket change in today's football world.
That move to the mainland was the real beginning of the next chapter. It's where that raw talent from Madeira started getting hammered and shaped into the world-class superstar we know today. But yeah, it was not a smooth ride. Not at all.
Can you imagine? You're a 12-year-old kid, you're homesick, and the other boys are making fun of you just for the way you talk. You'd think that would break a kid, right? But for him, nope. It was pure fuel. He took that feeling of being an outsider and just poured it all into his training. He was going to prove everybody wrong. And even when he hit the big time, signing for a giant club like Manchester United, the doubters were still there. This Reddit comment really captures what people thought back then, that he was all flash, a show pony with fancy stepovers but not much else. But under a legendary manager like Sir Alex Ferguson, he completely changed that narrative. He went from being a flashy winger to an absolutely lethal goal-scoring machine. And then, boom, the ultimate validation, winning the Ballon d'Or, the award for the best player on the planet. It just cemented everything. The skinny kid from Madeira who got teased for his accent and criticized for his style was now officially at the very top of the game. But if you thought that was the peak, you'd be wrong. That was just the warm-up. If Manchester United made him a star, Real Madrid turned him into an absolute legend. He made the move for what was then a world record fee of £80 million. And what came next was just pure dominance. Okay, get ready, because the numbers from his time in Madrid are they're insane. In 9 seasons, he played 438 games. Just think about that level of consistency, of always being available, always on the field. And in those games, he scored 450 goals. Just let that sink in for a second. More goals than games. That made him the club's all-time leading scorer, just smashing records that had stood for generations. But honestly, this is the one. This is the stat that really cemented his legacy in Madrid. The Champions League is the trophy that club is obsessed with, and he delivered it 4 times. He wasn't just another great player, he was the king of a dynasty. So this is where the story gets really interesting, because all that success on the field, it was building something even bigger off the field. This is where the athlete becomes a global economic powerhouse. We've got to talk about the CR7 brand. It is so much more than just a logo. It's a whole enterprise. We're talking hotels, fragrances, underwear lines, but most importantly, a social media following that no other athlete can touch. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around just how big his personal brand is. Look at this. When Juventus signed him, he had almost 6 times more followers on social media than the entire club. A club that's been around for over 100 years. It's like he wasn't just joining their world, he was bringing them into his. That's real power. So you might be asking, why would Juventus spend all that money? Well, this chart right here is a huge clue. Commercially, they were way behind the other big dogs in Europe when it came to stuff like jersey sales. So they weren't just buying goals, they were buying the Ronaldo effect, betting he could help them close that massive revenue gap.
And all of that, it leads us right back to where we started, that mind-blowing Al Nassr contract. Look at the breakdown. It's way more than a salary. You've got the crazy base pay, a private jet, guaranteed sponsorships, but then you get to this last one, a 15% ownership stake in the club. That's a whole other level. That's the ultimate power move for an athlete who's also a brand.
So here we are, he's playing in what most people think are the final stages of his career, and the whole conversation is shifting. It's less about the next game and more about what's his ultimate place in history. And believe me, people have strong opinions about this. This comment from Reddit kind of sums up one side of the great debate. Is he in that absolute top tier with guys like Pelé and Maradona, or is he just a step below? The fact that we're still fiercely debating it tells you just how massive his impact has been. So when it's all said and done, what's the final word? Do we remember him as the ultimate athlete, a physical specimen driven by an unmatched will to win? Do we remember him as the ultimate brand who basically wrote the playbook for modern athletic stardom? Or was he something else entirely, just a pure phenomenon? I guess that's the question the CR7 era leaves for the history books.